Almost every true crime case involves a 911 call. There's always a distressing voice on the line trying to explain the situation, and many times you can sense, without having any formal training, you can sense in their voices the urgency and even how the circumstances are unfolding around them. But every once in a while, a recording of one of those emergency calls pops up, and it doesn't really sound like an emergency. In fact, the voice tone of the person calling can sound even unsettling because it doesn't fit what you would expect of someone making this kind of call. And this is one of said outliers, a 911 call that just doesn't make sense. I'm going to give you all the details of the case, but first I want you to listen closely to see what your intuition tells about the voice of the woman calling, with as few biases as possible. Here's the first part. It's around 40 seconds. What I want you to pay attention to is one of the most important clues in this kind of calls. Voice tone. And from that, what can you guess just from intuition about the woman's emotional and psychological state?
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
You don't know where you're at?
At National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Now, the first impression that I had from this call in this first 40 seconds is that, one, her voice was much calmer than what one is used to in any high-stakes situation, and the clarity of the call suggested that she was most probably inside her car. There's next to no echo and the sound is sharp. But even so, there was some kind of ring to her voice that just didn't sit well with me. It's like when being in a low noise environment can calm you, but complete silence can be unsettling. But then the call goes on.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find My Phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, I don't think you are in Robeson County. Yeah, the Lumber River State Park.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Another clue or factor when listening to how people speak, whether if it's recordings or in person, is the pauses and the general rhythm of the person's words, sentences, and talking in general. She didn't sound like rushed or anything. Now, the last part can be a bit triggering, and right after that, I will tell you more about this case.
Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Micah Miller's body was found at a nervy mangrove not far from where her car was parked. The gun she used to end her own life was located first, and the case and the bullets on her car. Now, the circumstances of what happened start to get really weird when you find out that barely hours before, she had bought the gun herself at a pawn shop. And the images from the security cameras show a woman that, well, looks quite relaxed and even smiling. I wouldn't discard that she had been coerced into this, but I wonder what would be the level of manipulation that can drive someone to do this. And yes, it has all the signs of a crime of passion, so what about the husband? Well, it turns out that her husband, John Paul Miller, a pastor, has a rather convenient alibi. He was at a sports event with his side chick. So it's no wonder that in the face of the evidence, this was quickly ruled out as a suicide. But since then, some things have surfaced that make the circumstances murkier, such as the fact that an affidavit provided by Micah's sister, Sierra Francis, say that Micah told her days before, I quote, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me, it was John Paul," her husband. It's also worth mentioning that Micah and John Paul had tensions in their relationship from some time ago. There are videos in which both of them are recording their mutual reactions, threatening each one to upload it to Facebook. In fact, Micah had served John just a few days before with divorce papers. And he complained to the police that she was, I kid you not, trying to ruin his reputation. Now, that's when the clues include a message that John Paul wrote to Micah's family after her passing. I'm sure that I will get a lot of, "Oh, you don't know how can someone react with something like this. Everyone grieves differently," but this was the message. This is what happens when you try to encourage someone to divorce the person they love and tell them they don't need medicine and that they are not ill when they are. Good job, Francis family. And the obvious response, "Out of here, you are the reason our sister is dead." Pushing things forward into the WTF realm, the day after all this happened, when he announces the congregation that his wife is dead, it's unsettling to say the least that he was making weird statements, almost jokes, like, "I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week."
Been down with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up, I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week. And that morning, actually, I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Micah's dresses, and she had the same tattoo Micah has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, "Micah!" And the girl turned around, and it was one of her sisters. And I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive, But I can't wait to see her again one day.
Also, Michael left cryptic video messages like this one mere days before her death.
So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are.
Other details of this case include the fact that John Paul Miller and Micah Miller met originally when she was just 10 years old and he was 25, and that Micah was the nanny of John Paul's children from his previous marriage. So, yes, all those clues surrounding the case make Micah's death all the more concerning. I couldn't find any records of Micah's family setting the record straight about the alleged mental illnesses she suffered, because any references of being bipolar, schizophrenic, and dependent personality disorder come from, you guessed it, John Paul Miller. Still, my question stands. What did you hear in Micah Miller's 911 call? Did she sound really calm, or was there anything to it? This is an ongoing case, so most probably I will be covering it in further videos. Meanwhile, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. And remember to download my free 100 body language tips in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.